Just look at this. What does it say? I don't know. What I can say is that this looks beautiful. So does this. Every writing system in the world looks beautiful in its own right. But not everything is beautiful in the same way. Everything is beautiful in its own right. More on this on the other side of the intro. Hello everyone, Nilaanjan this side. Post announcement that profiling videos have been postponed as of now, I had to do this. I've always had this thing for writing systems. Well, more on this on the future. Let's check today's first script, the Sinhalese script. Sinhalese has got to be one of the most beautiful scripts in the world. I mean, just look at this. This actually looks beautiful. What makes it beautiful? I mean, it has those really relaxing curves. I mean, I would get it embroidered on my mom's sari or something really elegant if nobody takes offense on that. But how did it come to be in this elegant form it is today? Well, first we'll discuss about its past, the present and its structure. The Sinhalese script originated from the Brahmi script from the regions of India, but if we have to trace its history a bit more to the back, we will realize it has originated from the Proto-Sinaitic script, which also gave birth to the Phoenician script, which means the Sinhalese script is related to the Latin and the Cyrillic alphabet, which means the Sinhalese script is connected to the scripts used to write English and Russian. What is even more shocking is that the Phoenician script also gave birth to the Aramaic script, which gave birth to the Arabic script, which concludes that the Sinhalese script is related to the Arabic script. I mean, just look at them. Can two scripts look any more different? Can you imagine? I mean, the order of writing these two scripts are not the same. But we can just take the assumption that the Sinhalese script originated from the Brahmi script, because it would be way less shocking to reveal that India is just a stone's throw away from Sri Lanka to say countries like Italy or Russia. The most common theory that suggests the origin of the Sinhalese script is the theory that the Maurya king Ashoka sent his followers to the island of Sri Lanka to preach Buddhism, keeping in mind that Ashoka used the Brahmi script in his own nation to dispose his orders and ideas to the general public. It is obvious that he might have used the script in Sri Lanka too. Well, it would have been if not for this very little caveat. The oldest inscription in Sri Lanka dated back to 200 BC, but Buddhism arrived in Sri Lanka in the 3rd century AD, and guess what? The inscription is said to be written in Brahmi, so we can easily rule out this theory for now. So how did the Sinhalese script originated again? Well, let's have a look at this. Before having a look, let's have a quick geography class. This is South Asia. South Asia roughly consists of nations like India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan and Maldives. Afghanistan is a valid option, but it is said by many people that Afghanistan belongs to Central Asia, and Myanmar, but people consider that Myanmar belongs to Southeast Asia. But for our research purposes, let's stick to India and Sri Lanka, especially South India and Sri Lanka, because South India is the state of Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu means the land of Tamils. And what language do the Tamils speak? Tamil. And Tamil Nadu is located near, you guessed it correct, Sri Lanka. And Tamil was written in Tamil Brahmi, and it originated in 250 BC. Now let's get to the point. If you look at the Wikipedia page of Tamil Brahmi, we will find that Tamil Brahmi had very few similarities with other Brahmi scripts, but it had close connection with one other script, the Sinhala Brahmi script. To elaborate even further, the Sinhala script used to denote the same sounds which were in the Dravidian language, although Sinhalese was an Indo-Aryan Prakrit, as the script had closer connections to the Gujarati Prakrit due to trade, and this is the closest we can ever get to the origins of the Sinhalese script. From there on, the Sinhala script received a lot of influence from other scripts surrounding it, like the Grantha script, which ended up to be the Malayalam script, as the same script notoriously known for its unnecessarily complex character use for the sound By the 9th century AD, the script was also used for writing various kinds of literature. For instance, religious literature was written in the Sinhala script, but the language wasn't always Sinhalese, because most of the time religious literature was written in the Pali language, as the religion followed in Sri Lanka was and is Buddhism. Modern Sinhalese emerged in the 13th century and is marked by the composition of grammar book Siddharth. In 1736, the Dutch were the first people to print the Sinhala type on the island. The resulting type followed the features of that of the native Sinhala script practiced on palm leaves. The Dutch created type was monolinear and geometric in fashion, with no separation between words in the early documents, like the way modern day Thai is written. During the second half of the 19th century, during the colonial period, a new style of Sinhala letter forms emerged in opposition to the monolinear and geometric form, being high contrast in appearance and having varied thicknesses. The high contrast type gradually replaced the monolinear type as the preferred style, which continues to be used in the present day. The high contrast style is still preferred for text typesetting in printed newspapers, books, magazines in Sri Lanka, but it just exists as a font and not the standard way of writing. Now we are pretty much done with the Sinhalese history. Now let's look at how the script functions. Sinhala is an abugida/alpha syllabary. I've already explained what that is in the Bengali episode, but we are making a video on script, so I have no problem explaining it again. Abugidas or alpha syllabaries are a way of writing where markings are put around consonants to mark vowel sounds. Like in English or any other language which is written using the Latin script, we put vowels in front of the consonants to indicate the vowel like ka, ki, ku, etc. That is an alphabet. But in Abugidas, markings are drawn around consonants which many times look different than the vowel sound it means. Like in the example of Sinhala itself, ka. This is a combination of ka and a. Now if you look at the Sinhala script, we will notice that most of the characters are curvy and don't have straight lines, and there is a reason behind this. Sinhala was written on palm leaves in its early days, and the thing about palm leaves is that it is a leaf, and like most leaves, if you try to draw a straight line on it, it would just tear off into two pieces, because if we look at the structure of a leaf, then we will find out it has fibers which run through the leaf from its apex to its core. And the Sinhala script was written on those leaves horizontally, meaning that when straight lines were drawn, they would just strip off two separate fibers and then eventually just strip off. Sinhala is written from left to right if you didn't see the previous slide. Sinhala has two forms of its script, the Shuddha Sinhala and the Mishra Sinhala. They mean pure and mixed respectively. Shuddha Sinhala contains all necessary characters to denote all the sounds of classical Sinhala. Basically, we take this and exclude these characters, we will have Shuddha Sinhala. If we have a text which has no loan words, only native Sinhalese words, then we will only use Shuddha Sinhala. But if we want to write some loan words from Sanskrit or Pali, we will have to use the Mishra Sinhala. Mishra Sinhala is basically Shuddha Sinhala, but with a few added characters for the sounds kh, gh, ng, ch, jh, nya, th, dh, th, dh, na, ph, bh, sh, and f. After all of these complications, you will have to learn how the vowels are written. Like we already discussed, Sinhala is an abugida, but it doesn't have a single vowel. In Sinhala, there are 18 vowels, 16 are in conventional use, and then if we look at the topmost one, that one is known as the halkrima. Now, halkrima falls into the concept of half consonants that most, if not all, scripts which derive from the Brahmi script have. Half consonants mean that the consonant is sitting there idle and don't have a vowel to get pronounced with. In Brahmi script based languages, it is a belief that no consonant can be pronounced without a vowel. At least we have a reasoning that why these scripts are an abugida. So the consonants are inherently incomplete without vowels, and we need to add vowels to the consonants to pronounce them. But the base character is always pronounced with a schwa in Sinhala. That seemed a bit hypocritical. So to mark these half consonants, Sinhala added the halkrima as a diacritic or a marking system in their alpha syllabic system. Now how it would be pronounced in a word? Let's have an example. This is the word for egg in Sinhala, bittala. Here we can see the halkrima on top of the second character. It would be pronounced bittala. First you will stop your vocal tract after pronouncing bit and then pronounced tala again. To mark this, you would put the sign on top of the second character, and if you thought it ends there, it doesn't. The halkrima isn't used to represent all of the half consonant clusters. Sometimes some clusters of half consonants are used so often that they are designated characters to represent them. Let's take 7 examples for now. Before looking at those examples, we first need to understand that there are separate classifications for these consonant clusters. The reason I took 7 examples is that there are 7 types of conjunctions of consonant clusters. We'll get to know them as we discuss the examples. First is yansaya. In yansaya, you would take multiple consonants you want to conjoin and then just conjoin them. Yeah, that's it. There is nothing more except the fact that you can just simplify consonants sometimes. Let's have these examples. Gj, gj. Second is rakaransaya. Rakaransaya is used to describe the R sound after consonants. Let's have a few examples here, shall we? Kr, gr. Third is repaya. I feel so uncomfortable saying it. Repaya is the opposite of rakaransaya. Repaya is used to describe the R sound before the consonants. Arka, arga. Fourth is combining yansaya and rakaransaya. Basically, we combine these two above features to make a character which represents two conjoined consonant clusters with the R sound after it. Gajra, gajra. Fifth is combining repaya and yansaya. Like the previous one, we combine conjoined consonant clusters and the R sound before it without a vowel interruption. Examples: arkaja, argaja. Sixth is just conjunctions. Here you just combine two different consonants and stick them together as you did in yansaya, but with a small difference. In yansaya, you would generally keep distinct pieces from different characters and treat them as a single character. But in conjunctions, you would just smash together these two characters in a way that the two parts are barely enough that to know what characters these are. Let's have this example. Kva, th. Seventh and the last would be touching. In this feature, we can just slam consonants with 0 to low effort. With this example, it would get cleared immediately. Amma. Moving on. Now these characters don't hang out there without a name. All of these characters have their different names like English as A, B, C, D, etc. In Sinhala, characters are named after adding the affix ayanna to it. So this is kayanna, gayanna, chayanna and so on. The characters with the halkrim are named in two ways. One in a way you would just put an in front of it, akyanna. The second way you would just put an al in front of it, alkyanna. These names are for Shuddha letters. The Mishra letters operate a bit differently from this. The Mishra set of letters are not distinguishable from the Shuddha counterparts. So there are different approaches of naming them. First approach. One thing which is similar is the shape of some of these characters from the Shuddha set, but they have different sounds. So the solution which came out of this situation was this. The characters are named after their shape with the affix ayannu and the pronunciation with the affix ayanna. Let's have this example. Taking this example, this is pronounced ka but resembles ba, so it is named Bayasu Kayanna. Second approach. This approach might just be the better one. Now, one thing about the Mishra set of letters that was historically recorded was the fact that some of these letters were aspirated. Now, aspiration was said to take more time than the unaspirated ones. Aspiration means to add the h sound after the consonant, like bha. So that means the aspirated consonants have more life than the unaspirated ones. So we can name this consonant, which is pronounced gha, Mahapran Gayanna. The Gayanna part, as we discussed, is the consonant sound plus the template. The Mahapran part literally means big life. And as I said earlier, these historically aspirated words took more time to pronounce, so they have a huge life. That would wrap up this segment. Apart from this, Sinhala has its own numeral system which was used regularly till the 19th century. There were two types of numeral systems, archaic and astrological. The archaic numerals functioned like the Roman numerals. Unlike the Roman system, the archaic Sinhala numeral system doesn't have a symbol for 0. So the symbols represented are this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, 100 and 1000. Nevertheless, the way of writing is definitely simpler than the Roman system. Now this would be enough for the formal research on this topic. Now let's hear what the locals have to say about it. These are some of the questions I asked the Sinhala speakers who use the Sinhala script on a daily basis. The first question: how often is the script used? Well, it is not used often when you are trying to text someone. You would generally use the Latin script, though phonetic keyboards do exist. My friend from Sri Lanka generally say that it's quite hard to learn all the curves the script has to offer, so just don't underestimate it. That concludes the episode. Hope you enjoyed. Please like this video if you really enjoyed this video. Share it to others if you think others would enjoy it. And please consider subscribing the channel. And as always, stay connected. See ya.